Hey, this is Barry. I wanted to make a video today to tell a story about something that happened to me while out on the newspaper route. And the first part of the story is on August 1st of 19. Yesterday, Friday. I was in a neighborhood called Colonial Heights. I was on Colonial Street. I made a little loop down there to a street called Delight, and then made a turn on Eaglewood and made a circle there and came back up to Colonial Street. And as I was making my left-hand turn to go back out to Greenwood Road, there in the dark to the right on Colonial Street, an unlit area of Colonial Street, I hear this very angry man's voice yelling in a very angry tone at me, hey, stop. This was 2:30 a.m. That's not a good idea. You don't know if there's somebody who wants to rob you or shoot you. So I got out of there. And that was pretty stressful, and just hoping that I didn't meet up with that guy in the morning. I got to go through there every morning. And I tried to put it out of my mind. You know, these sorts of things have happened before in the past. So, the following morning, Saturday morning, August 2nd, I go through there. I make the little loop through that neighborhood, come back out of Eaglewood, and at the intersection of Colonial and Eaglewood, I notice a car down there close to Delight at the end of Colonial Street, and they're putting on their brakes and turning around. I thought, oh no, that guy's in a vehicle and now he's fixing to give me a violent chase and try to run me off the road, as some have tried to do in the past. I mean, think about the demeanor of this guy. Angry, cocky, control freak type, probably on drugs, high on drugs or drunk. That was my assumption. And then this person luckily doesn't chase me around violently and try to run me off the road, but they tell me through several neighborhoods. So a couple of neighborhoods over, there's another big loop in the neighborhood that I make every morning. But they doubled back on me to catch me when I came back to the street that I had made a loop around on. And they had their lights off. I guess they didn't want to stop and confront me about anything because they kept on going. And then I got behind them. So, there was a little bit more of, I kept on going thinking that was it. Nothing's really going to happen. And then later, I come across them again. Some kind of weird bird there. But that's when I see what the vehicle looks like. Okay, so I thought, since I've had trouble in this neighborhood for 2 mornings in a row, I better go ahead on and call the police. When I described what had happened to them, they said they already have some officers in that neighborhood, and they wanted to talk to me. and they wanted to know where I was. So I told them my nearest, told them my location and what the nearest street intersection is and the names of the street and all that. And they showed up there. They wanted to know all about what had happened. And they told me that the person that was following me was a lady who lived in that neighborhood, and that the previous night, the morning, 2:30 a.m. when that man yelled at me and I got out of there, apparently that was about the time someone had been yelling and beating on doors in the neighborhood at 2:30 in the morning. And they took my name and everything. But after telling that story, the point of the story that I'd like to make is, there's people that act crazy, but the homeowner is the one I'm thinking about. What would possess her to jump in her vehicle and chase a total stranger at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, following and turning out her headlights, trying to be covert? And I don't know. It sounds kind of dangerous to me, because you don't know who you're going to bump into at 2:30 in the morning out in the dark. You should call the police and let them handle it. Let the professionals handle it, because you just don't know who you're going to run into. You may run into Jack the Ripper out there. You may run into a serial killer that would like nothing better than someone to fall into their hands like that. Well, you get my point. But over the years doing newspapers, I've had so many cases of people just decide to I've had so many cases of people decide that I'm somebody that needs to be chased, those wee early morning hours. If it's not a cop car and they're trying to stop me, get me to pull over, I'm not gonna do that. Really, that's not a good idea. Things can happen that can end your life. You should call the professionals. But there's just so many stories I have of people racing out into the night to chase somebody who they don't even know who they're dealing with or what they're there for. I don't know if it's a control freak thing or they're cocky. It's not really wise when dealing with strangers late at night. On one occasion, I had a man bottle me in the driveway and I couldn't get out. And he jumped out of his truck and he was digging around like he was fixing to get a gun and shoot me, and he was yelling at me. People that act like that don't seem to be quite right in the head to take the law into their own hands and do that. I don't know. Just people. I guess that's just what happens. It makes more sense to me to not put your life in jeopardy when you can call the police to come take care of it. You can be a big man, but you could wind up dead too. Call the professionals. It's not a cowardly thing to do to call the professionals. And you may think you're in the right, and then you might be the one in trouble for chasing somebody or, terrorizing somebody, chasing some poor paper carrier around in the night, terrorizing people out trying to do their job. I just don't stop for people at night, because you don't know if they're gonna try to rob you or shoot you. Hopefully this story wasn't too boring. It's just one of those things that happens when you go out late at night on a job. I like those those mornings where I go do my job, and I get out there at midnight when Coast to Coast AM comes on, and I can hear some interesting stories about aliens or Sasquatch, or cryptozoological animals, those animals people have seen but the authorities say don't exist. I've had some really good times over the years. Just get out there, hardly any people out, and it's cooler at night, and listen to some shows like that, and it's enjoyable. Just a smooth morning, it can be enjoyable. But those mornings when you bump into people and they act like that, those are stressful mornings. But luckily those are few and far between, but when they happen, it's not pleasant. Here's a health tip. I had a mild heart attack some years back, and I found out when I fasted it got better. When I ate food it got worse, especially sugary stuff. And I found out that when you eat, it makes your blood get thicker, especially when you eat sugary stuff. Isn't that interesting? I don't know if that's the way it is in everybody's experience, but fasting seemed to work for me on a situation like that. Okay, well, hopefully that helped, and this wasn't just a totally boring video. This is Barry. My channel name is Explore with Barry and Lanyap. Thank you for watching.